how you doing? Y'all can do better than that for Unstoppable. How you doing? That's what I'm talking about. My name is Carla Renata. I will be your moderator this evening for this conversation centered around Unstoppable, its stars, and its director. I'd like to remind you before we get into it, though, that if you could please stay seated after the panel is over to allow our guests to go upstairs and meet you for the reception. Is that all right? Yeah. Okay. Without further ado, I will bring on our panelists. First is Director William Goldenberg. Next, a young lady who plays Judy Robles, Miss Jennifer Lopez. And the real life Miss Judy Robles. Jharrel Jerome, who plays Anthony Robles. And last but certainly not least, the subject of the film himself, Anthony Robles, producer, author of Undefeated, How I Became a Champion. All right, so let's get into it. Anthony, I want to ask you, I've been dying to ask you this. What was your reaction when you found out that your real life story was going to be made into a feature film?
First of all, thank y'all so much for being here tonight. It's an honor to be able to share this film with you. The first time I heard that this was going to be told as a film, I was excited and I was just terrified at the same time. Just because there's so many different parts of our story, and it's easy to talk about the fun moments, the exciting moments, but the painful things, we knew that would be difficult, and we knew that it needed to be told in a way that we could trust the people who were telling it. But we were just blessed with an opportunity with Billy coming out to Arizona to really sit with our family, make us feel comfortable. And with Jennifer and with Jharrel, same thing. They just respected us, respected our thoughts and our feelings about our story, and wanted to make us proud. So I'm truly honored and excited for this, and very proud of this film.
Thank you for answering that. I appreciate you. Yes. Thank you. A lot of music clapping in here. Judy, I want to get your thoughts on that as well. How did it feel to have your family's story portrayed on film, and has it changed the dynamics of what your life is thus far? I'm sure it has, but if you could speak to it a little bit.
No, I have to agree with my son. It was absolutely terrifying, because we had to expose so much of who we are. And Anthony's, he wrote a book, and then there's this movie. I mean, there's always these things where I felt like at each stage I had to open up a lot more. But we are both, well, my whole family is excited for what was put out there. But I think that, it's allowed us to heal. I think that Jennifer did such a great job in portraying me as I was, in the growth and just the emotions and the feelings. And then the relationship with Jharrel, I mean, it just came across to how Anthony and I, honestly, truly are. So I'm grateful because I kept a lot of that in. But now, we have friends and family who have watched it back in Arizona, and they're like, yeah, that's you. That's scary. I mean, you want your friends to be like, yeah, that's you, and they really do. So they loved it. But no, again, it has been a real healing process for me because of how well she did in making me feel like me. But also going, that was you. You are who you are now.
That brings me to Miss Jennifer.
Hello.
Hey, Mama, how you doing? Good. So I remember a long time ago you were in this film called Enough, which was dealing with a woman that had some mental and physical transformation going on after the abuse that she received from her husband, right? So having been in a relationship like that in that film, Enough, and then coming to this film, where would you like to have seen your character go through the transformation as Judy? Because it was very, very personal.
Well, that was a thriller, and it was fictional. That was a little bit different of a type of movie, and what you're trying to accomplish with that. This was a biopic, right? This is a real life story of real people, and for me, it was about trying to capture all of the things about Judy and about their life that helped tell their story in the best way. This is a very kind of happy, triumphant, moving in a lot of ways. But the reason it's that is because of the struggles and how hard things were for them at times in their life, and the kind of obstacles that they had to overcome, which unstoppable, right? You don't become unstoppable because everything's easy. You become unstoppable because you have to overcome things and face things and fight through things. So it was great to kind of speak with Judy right from the beginning and really get into her mind of like how different things felt. She had different, we connected on being moms and women, of course, but also, there was a very specific set of challenges that she had to deal with in her life that I didn't. And so to have her, I've played real people before, but to have Judy with me and really ask, because you're always as an actor trying to figure out, like, what were they thinking right here? Why did they do this? What am I going to do? What choices am I going to make here? But when I would speak with Judy and say, how did this feel? Sometimes the answers would surprise me, and sometimes it was like exactly what I thought. But it was nice to have her there. And the more she opened up to me, the more she shared with me, the more I was able to take those tools and different things and use them, and even internalize some certain things that she shared with me that she never shared with anybody else in her life, that I was able to go, okay, now I know who this person is, and now I know what to do, and I know how to work that as an actor to, tell the best story.
There's an uncanny resemblance between the two of y'all. It is bananas. It is really kind of bananas. I know y'all have heard that 1,000 times, but you're going to hear it 1,001 from me. Billy, hello.
Hi.
I finally got to you. Prior to your directorial debut, this is his directorial debut, y'all. Give it up. A very long and illustrious career as an editor. You've edited films like Zero Dark 30, The Imitation Game, and Argo, which won you an Academy Award, yeah?
Yes. That did happen.
So, how did your experience in the editing bay help you with this process, with this particular film?
Well, I think it was invaluable. It took me a long time to think I was ready to direct a film, and I think all my experience as an editor was incredibly helpful in terms of evaluating performance and knowing what shots I needed and what it took to make a scene and how I wanted to shoot the movie. I sort of gathered all the information I could from all the directors I worked with. Unfortunately, I worked with some of the best in the world, and I was able to lean on them. When I got this job to direct this film, I was able to call them all and annoy them with just 1,000 questions. And each thing I called Michael Bay about visual effects, and I called Paul Greengrass about shooting style, and I called Catherine Bigelow. So I had that those people that just be in my corner and to advise me was invaluable as well. So it allowed me, I think, to think freely on the set, because I felt like I was really comfortable with knowing what I needed to make scenes, and like I said, what angles I needed. And so it allowed me, I think, to just feel free to change all that up, all the preparation I did, which was weeks and weeks and months. But then, you get on the set with the actors, and the actors have great ideas, and there wasn't a day where I didn't get a great idea from one of the cast. So you have to, change that. You all of a sudden had all these plans that I had to shoot something, and then it's like, oh, let's change all that and do it a different way. And I think that all that preparation and all that experience I had as an editor, allowed me, freed me up to be able to do that.
So I know that you guys shot for 11 days, and then COVID hit, and then you didn't start.
That was strike.
Sorry. And then you picked back up 6 months later, right?
Yeah.
So talk to me about that process, because it's hard enough to get a film greenlit, to start it, get everybody's schedules lined up, and then you're hit with all these insurmountable obstacles.
Well, it wasn't the best possible scenario, but at the same time, if we hadn't started the shoot before this, if we had known we were going to get picketed, we probably wouldn't have started the film, which probably would have meant we would have never made the film. So in a way, we tried to look at it as a blessing, and I think that after the initial devastation of having to be shut down and being open-ended like that, I think we all realized, or at least like Jharrel and I think had this discussion. We're working on a film called Unstoppable. about this gentleman over to my right. And we're playing, what are we complaining about? We'll get back, we'll get up, we'll get back, and it'll be fine. And I think, at least that's the attitude I took. There was nothing else to do. But, I tried to use the time wisely, and Jharrel, after about an hour or two of devastation, I think.
Crying.
He called me back in a couple hours, said, I'm going to use this time to get stronger, I'm going to use this time to work harder and get better, and he did, and he came back even more fit than he was when we started the first time. And it made the film better, and, we were lucky enough that we got all our cast back, and we got all the locations back, so, I was saying earlier, we refer to it as season 1 and season 2 because it seemed like we took a hiatus like a television show. But we picked right back up, and as soon as we started shooting again, it just felt like we had missed a couple of days, not 6 months.
That brings me to Jharrel. What's up, Jharrel?
What's going on?
So this isn't your first time, like Jennifer, portraying someone that is a real life human being. We saw you win an Emmy for doing that when they see us, right?
Yes.
So this time, yes, give it up. So this time around, can you just talk to us about what your mental and physical preparation was for this role? Because it's intense, and wrestling, and let me just say, this is not a wrestling movie, right? This is a movie about tenacity. This is a mom story about her son and her love, not only for this one son, but for all her kids, and for not giving up. Judy, you did not give up no matter what. You were like, y'all are not gonna bring me down. And I gotta give it to you, because there's something to be said for that in this world that we live in, to have that kind of spirit. So bless you. Jharrel. So Jharrel, talk to me about what it was like to train with Anthony and learn these wrestling moves, because you're not a wrestling person, right?
No. Far from it. Yeah, it was crazy. Anthony actually was my coach the entire time. So he trained me himself. We did 7 months, 5 days a week, 2 hours a day on the mat. And it's one thing to learn wrestling, but it's another thing to learn Anthony's style of wrestling, and being in control on the ground, and using, the way he uses fists as legs and things like that, getting comfortable with that. And I think it would have been a whole different story if they would have found some like Olympic wrestling coach who comes in and just does what he does. Instead, I had Anthony himself. And he was also my body double and my stunt double the entire shoot. So if I was on set for 14 hours a day, he was on set for 14 hours a day. And most times as an actor, when you're playing a biopic, you probably have, a quick moment with the person you're playing, or you read a book, or you watch a documentary, and then you have to take the rest to the set. But this time, I really got to watch Anthony in all these different scenarios, whether it was on the mat where he knows exactly what he's doing and he's comfortable coaching me, or on set when, he's like 2 hours of makeup doused on his face, and he's like looking at me like, what the hell is this? This is what you signed up to do? And it was cool because it went from him sort of coaching me and mentoring me and talking me off of many ledges, and then it switched when I was on set. I was talking him off certain ledges and making sure he was comfortable. And so this has become more than I'm the guy playing somebody in a movie. This is my friend. This is a brother and a mentor of mine. And, when things get tough, I'm gonna call Anthony and ask him, how the hell did you do it?
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. I'd like to know from all of you, what theme of the film resonates with you the most? Because we do have different things happening here. We have the housing crisis happening, where there's fraudulent lending. We have a mom, son, children thing happening, and we have a domestic abuse situation happening. Which one of those themes resonated with you all the most in the process of shooting, and even after you were done, when you finished, you were like, oh, that really resonates with me a lot more now? We can start ladies first with Judy.
Wow. I would have to say the relationship of mother and son. I think that meant the most, because as a mom, you're in the shadows. You're always pushing your child to the front, and you're encouraging them, and you're falling apart on the inside. And regardless, you don't want your child to repeat the same mistakes that you did. So for all of my kids, I think it was learning to battle through what was happening and then growing off of the strength of your family to get yourself out of it. Not that it was easy, that there were steps that had to be taken, but I think that in the end, Anthony definitely grew up before I did. I was young, when I had him, but I think that I learned from him. And I think as a parent, that's important to do. We learn from each other, and I think that is, like, to me, the heart and soul of this film. I mean, obviously, because it's me and Anthony, and I adore him. But I think that that's spoken to a lot of people already that we've talked to.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. Jennifer, did you want to weigh in on that?
I think for me, it was also like the mother and child thing, because the takeaway I got from this and watching Judy kind of overcome what she overcame and the relationship that she has with Anthony. Me as a single mom, I've raised my kids mostly on my own. I've been in relationships, but I raised my kids. And I think sometimes when you're a single mom, you think, well, am I enough? Am I enough? Is that enough? Like, do they need something else I'm not giving them? And it drives you to make certain choices at times that you shouldn't have made. And but in doing this film, I realized very much so that, the fact that Anthony didn't have his own dad in his life, and he had a stepfather, he only needed one great parent, and that was enough. And for me, walking away with that as a mom was something that was very inspiring to me. To really see that, to see you can raise a champion, you can raise amazing, we talked, even Jharrel and his mom are very close, and these are grown men now, and I just think of my own children, and I think, oh yeah, maybe I can do that too.
That's right. I'm doing that. Mommies can do anything. My mom in the front row, she'll tell you.
Feelings and emotions and things that you battle with on the inside, and then you realize you see it being done, and you go, oh, okay.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. This film was I'm not a mom, but I'm someone's daughter.
Yeah.
And it was a very inspiring film to me, mostly because of the housing crisis, because I went through that in real time. I was like, wow, I learned some things, Judy. Thank you for that. I learned a couple of things. So you guys, wrestling is the fastest growing high school sport in the U.S. Did y'all know that? Yeah. Well, Anthony knew that. What do you think are the factors contributing to this growth, and how do you think this film highlights how wrestling can help shape and empower young people? And Anthony, I'll let you hit that one.
I definitely know that I'm a high school wrestling coach now, so I'm recruiting kids like crazy. But just for boys and girls, the lessons that it shows you on the wrestling mat, because it's very unique. It's a team sport, but it's also very individual. So it teaches you accountability. It teaches you self-confidence. When you're out there, there's no one that can sub in for you if things aren't going your way. There's no one that's going to help you out, that's going to give you that extra push. It's all of you. And so it just teaches you that mental toughness to go out there and handle anything that you face. And the lessons that you learn on the wrestling mat, they're very applicable to life. Just developing that self-confidence and that toughness. And I think that's why kids are really starting to grasp the sport and gravitate to it, is because it allows them an opportunity to shine, not just for trying to be the same old as everyone else. It's about finding your individuality. Like me, I wasn't like everybody else. I wasn't tall, I wasn't super fast, I was missing my leg, but we created a style that worked for me. And wrestling embraces that. It says you can be unique, you can be you, embrace that and figure out a style that's going to work for you, just like in life.
What do you think it was that made you unstoppable, other than the obvious?
My family, and specifically my mom. I love the scene in the film when it's in between the championship periods, and the girl is looking up at and Jennifer, and that face, and she's saying, "You got this," and that was very real. There were certain moments in my career when I was wrestling, I felt like I was just going down a rabbit hole. I'm losing this match, and mentally I'm breaking down, and I'm looking for inspiration, and I see my mom up there. And just the look, her yelling at me when it's quiet, I'm getting set on the line, you can do this, come on, Robles. That's where my strength came from. And it wasn't just on the mat, it was in my life. And that's just something that's always been there for me. And I've been blessed for that. Is my mom's voice just believing me when I didn't, and when I couldn't. She taught me to ignore everyone else's voices in the crowd, the naysayers, and just to say, you're okay, you got this, you can do this. And as a dad now, that's something that I'm amazed by, and I'm learning from. You know, I'm drawing from my mom and from his experiences as a kid, and you know, her being so beautifully portrayed by Jennifer in this film. It's like that's my mom right there. You know, and as a dad, like I'm learning. You know, I'm gonna be like my mom for my boy now.
Well, I think there isn't a better place that we could end the conversation. I mean, what question am I going to ask after that? It would be moot. You know what I'm saying? So I want to thank Anthony Robles, Jharrel Jerome, Judy Robles, Jennifer Lopez, and William Goldenberg for joining us this year. It was just discussion around Unstoppable. Please allow our guests to get upstairs so they can meet and greet y'all at the reception, and we'll see y'all upstairs. Thank you. I'm Carla Renata.
Yeah.